Welcome back to Block TV, and you're watching Traders Take, where we get to look at the cryptocurrency charts and see what's happening in the market if we can figure it out that day. Now, on a day like today, we had some stability for a little while there. Now it looks like we're in the red. We need to be joined by Block TV's technical analyst, Joe Saz, to tell us why, because we're not sure. How are you, Joe?
I'm excellent, thanks. And there's kind of a lot you got me thinking about, and I want to bring it all the way back from a question that I've been asking on Traders Take for so long now, which is, can a manipulated market turn into a bull market, right? Because pretty much everything that happened April 2nd is the beginning of this run, and then on top of it, as we were breaking down into what appeared to be, a bear market again, and, not just a breakdown from a descending triangle or not just a correction, but, a continuation of this bearish pattern, we get a 30% surge from a $7,000 price target up into the 10.5. So, the confusion here, I think is starting to become more clear. And that is the confusion as far as the answer to that question is, can a single actor, whether it be organic or inorganic, really fuel a market into overdrive? And I'm talking, a 30% move from 7,000 is big. A 25% move from 4,000 was big. Don't get me wrong, but this is way bigger. So it's really interesting to me, and I'm starting to think that the answer to that question is yes. And on top of that, where do we go from here? And honestly, it's like I just can't stop thinking about six figures. I'm analyzing the market. Yeah, things are looking red right now, but this isn't much of a violent pullback from our resolution area of 9,500 after pulling back from a high of 10.5, on Bitcoin. So I still think that we're in normal territory right now, considering the pump. This isn't very bearish to me. We'll jump into the 15-minute here and kind of break it down for the small time frames. Let me get out of Coinbase here. Let's might as well point out, very illiquid order book. We're starting to build some liquidity in the order book here. You can see it represented here in the depth chart. There's definitely buys that have started chasing the price action past 8,000 and staggering to the 9,000 territory. So we definitely have some support going down. Sellers really are pretty illiquid, and that's normally the case. So that's to be expected, 2-to-1 ratio approximately. So I would say that things are looking okay. As far as the charts are concerned, here's a 15-minute time scale, and we actually had some interesting action. All right, so this is a dangerous time to trade, and I'm not touching it with the 10-foot pole right now. But you can see we've had some dumps, we've had some low liquidity sweeps back up, we've had another dump, and we had the same amount of volume pretty much on the dump that we had on the return above the price. So it looks like bulls are definitely die hard again. We started slanting down, broke down a little bit. Bulls are violently fighting to defend these $9,000 territories. So there's still a lot of energy left. When I talk about when I talk about the bulls having been exhausted for quite some time now, it's starting to feel like a bunk argument. So I'm starting to think that, we're going to have buyers at every price point. There might not be such a thing as exhaustion anymore, especially after a 30% move, just recently, and a 25% or so move April 2nd. This could be, just a raging bull market, and I maybe a little bit in disguise there, with some strategic moments of purchasing and especially manipulating the market sentiment. And what I refer to when I speak of that is the emotional sentiment of the market. I'm talking about the perfect time to really just shut down any short was during that death cross that we were talking about for the weeks leading into it. Now we get it, and unfortunately, not unfortunately, obviously I'm a Bitcoin bull, but to all the shorts out there, and I was one of them, got slapped in the face with the 30% move to the upside. So this is a very difficult market to call still, but I would say, considering those facts and everything so far, I'm not going to say that we're in full bull mode, because we are kind of responding to this with a little bit of red. It's like this, but we're still so well within a reasonable territory. So if we were dropping down violently and we were pulling back into the low 8,000s and we were just quickly moving back to these normal areas, that would be one thing. But we really are struggling and fighting in these areas.
Right, but this idea of looking at metrics in a different way or looking at the technical stuff in a different way may be necessary, because everybody's looking at the crypto market as if it's just an average market and, oh, look, so much volatility. But what you're doing here, it seems like you're trying to figure out a different technical metric that we can see, and that's a bit more tangible. And it's interesting to see where you take that in the next few days, Joe. We're really looking forward to these traders' takes. And I do want to shift gears. Yesterday we spoke Bitcoin Cash a bit. And you were especially surprised to find out that actually BCH is doing quite well. So I'd like to look at it again today.
So Bitcoin Cash, and obviously as it's known in the community, it's B trash. It's
as it's known to Joe's. I do want to clarify here. As it's known to Joe's community, it is called B trash. Apparently, we're talking to a Bitcoin maximalist here. We understand that you disagree with things, Joe. Let's keep going with BCH.
Yeah, there's only a couple things I disagree with, and that's centralization and checkpoints and blocks that are too big for everyone to participate in. But anyways, let's see here. 10% move to the upside. So this, I mean, we had a continued move. I think yesterday when we were looking at this, we were like sitting in the wick space here. But this is starting to look like a top. I would say this did too. I mean, this did too. So I don't really know what to expect right now. This thing's just kind of, as far as candlesticks are concerned, candlestick patterns are concerned, it looks like we're nearing a reversal. As far as technicals are concerned, we did meet resistance at the 125 moving average. This is the purple one. And then we just poked our head above it and have receded. So, this is something that we've seen in cryptocurrency a number of times, where we get like that last little bit of flash of life to the upside, followed by a massive reversal candle. So we got to wait and see. But right now, I'd say this is looking like we're in a reversal territory, just based on these couple things. Again, I don't like to oversaturate myself with indicators, but right now we do have a pretty significant trend. It looks like this 200 MA is starting to level out, and it looks a little confused because of this pump right now. So we'll have to see. But that's one thing that I'd be curious to see how we start to trend down from the long-term moving average if we do. But yeah, this short-term moving average has responded to this pump, and we're in we're in a gap that will be tightening. This thing will start curving up, and this thing will continue moving down. Maybe not at such an accelerated pace, but they will meet. So we might be seeing a bullish crossover in the not too distant future of the short and intermediate term moving averages for Bitcoin Cash. And I don't know what that'll mean. I mean, we just had a death cross on the Bitcoin daily of the 50 and 200 MA, and as you can see, people died. This hopefully we have this is just crazy. So hopefully everyone's windows are close to the ground when we have these pretty firm signals. But this is starting to feel like a top. Back to Bitcoin on the daily. This is starting to feel like a top, and we are finding some support at the 200. This could get really interesting, and Bitcoin Cash is acting on its own. I don't really see anything that's worth comparing it to Bitcoin. So I'm not really sure what to make of it, but it's definitely not looking like a dumpster fire. That's for sure.
I think that's actually funny because, I mean, although BCH is, a lot of controversy there, especially when you speak to people within the community, but it was very silently making its way up. We didn't even catch it, and look, now we're talking about it. But you got to keep those eyes open, Things are creeping up on us. Now, moving along to XRP, taking a dive like kind of the rest of the market is right now. So it's in the red. What's going on?
Yeah, let's take a look at XRP. I'm always curious about this one, just so you know. As much as I'm the first to admit I don't like the asset, I'm always curious how it's performing because, again, technical analysis is more about understanding, the psychology of humans and their buying and selling behaviors. So always, excuse the eye roll.
So you're just being a professional.
I still find it interesting to see these things. But we did continue. We failed again to make a I think this high needs to get beaten to really create a bullish case scenario. I would say, is this an ascending triangle? Not quite. We might have a couple points of contact on the wicks here. I'm going to say this kind of is a descending triangle, and I don't think we need to use too much imagination to draw it out. So the potential here is certainly in favor of a breakout, but I mean that's what one thing that I really find interesting with XRP is that we get descending triangle breakouts, we get ascending triangle breakdowns, and this isn't the first. We've had this happen a number of times. In the past we've had ascending triangle breakdown, descending triangle breakout, steep breakout. Very similar patterns repeating in this asset, and it's and interesting, I talk about market manipulating the sentiment, and this would be a very bullish sentiment if this is an ascending triangle breakout. It would be very curious to see this thing break down. I would love to find out one day that Ripple was completely selling against its bag holders and trashing its people, and while all the while they were supporting it. But let's see, I would say, yeah, we do have a relatively bullish pattern forming here. We do have intermediate term moving average cutting through everything. I'm not going to, I'm not going to get too excited about that. But the short-term moving average is definitely maturing a little bit into a more bullish pattern. I'm not going to put too much effort, weight on that either. So right now I'm just kind of putting weight on this ascending triangle pattern. We do have a couple points of contact. It's not my favorite ascending triangle I've ever drawn. I'm not an artist. This isn't a Leonardo da Vinci painting. This is more of like a Picasso triangle. But there's definitely some points of contact, and there's definitely room for a breakout to the upside. But we could just definitely counter trend, and that's been counter trending. Welcome to crypto. Welcome to getting completely psyched the heck out. And like I said, I hope we have a lot of windows that are close to the floor.
Yeah, well, Ripple is making a lot of moves lately, right? We have a Bank of America hire now at Ripple, on head of regulatory affairs, the move to Washington. They're really trying to be buddy-buddy with the SEC right now. So it would be interesting, again, where that takes them with this rebranding now, and just what they're doing there is unclear, where the pieces are slowly coming together. So let's see what happens, and if the XRP army is behind them, that could just be a whole interesting situation. Now, ahead of this announcement, Tron recently announced an integration with Samsung. So I'd like us to take a look at Tron.
Yeah, of course. Tron, actually, Justin Sun's one of my favorite, most hated people in crypto. I feel like he puts on that smile. Well, Tron, man, I wonder what his announcement was. How many times did he announce he was making an announcement is my first question. And
yeah, he likes it. It's true. I'll give you that. He does like to announce his announcements.
Yeah. So jumping at the charts here, we do have a 16% move, 15% move. We have some serious moves here. Like, this is big money. This is like, I'm not calling alt season at all, just so you know. But I'm saying, when people were talking about alt season, this should have been the stuff that would have really been getting them excited. I think back when people were calling for alt season, it was probably stuff like this, pretty much nothing. But point is, we definitely took a steep climb. We had some external variables that might have put China in a bullish position for crypto. Maybe not. I think that's debatable. We have met resistance at the 200 moving average now just about 3 times. A little bit of support at the intermediate term moving average. We did move up pretty quick. We're on our way to a sequential 9 sell. Now, it might not reach a 9 sell because we've pulled back so far on this green 6. So, and personally, I go 9 to 9. When I'm trading sequential, I know Tone's a pro, and Tone Vase, has mastered sequential, and I pretty much focus 9 to 9. So, like, this is a 9 sell that, obviously it was very profitable had you been short. This is a 9 sell that was only profitable for a day. So this one was a really tight gap. That's why you always need to be careful and sleep with one eye open. Keep your stops tight if you're trading dangerous assets, and Bitcoin's already dangerous. Altcoins are double that. So point is, this 9 I would be taking seriously. I'm really curious to see if we move into one, if we take a little bit of a leg back up on this 7, 8 into a 9 sell and a pullback. I want to see if we break through this resistance, or this at this point, this support. This really didn't act as resistance too many times. It kind of did, but we did break it on the 4th try. And it's very possible we do that to the 200 moving average in the same sense. But it does seem like we went pretty vertical here, and traders trading means that they're looking for tops to sell and bottoms to buy, and traders define the market oftentimes. So at least for extended periods of time. So right now, I'm not really seeing like necessarily organic demand for this, but this might be a toppy area, and we might be pulling back to something more reasonable in the form of price. We might not need double-digit days to meet that, but I'm really questioning what kind of market we're in right now, and it's starting to, looking at Tron taking that 45+% move over the past week and a half or so. That's big, that's very big, and it's undeniable that there's definitely demand for crypto right now. It's, outside of Bitcoin, inside of Bitcoin, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's demand for crypto. So, it's time to start shifting gears and analyzing that, that neutral position that I was telling you about, that I really had to shake out my bearish biases. I think that now it's time to do that. And I was waiting for more likely a $4,500 price target before organic accumulation really kicked in. But something happened, price-wise. We saw it happen. Some sort of organic demand kicked in. The market's now in overdrive. And it isn't responding, in the most bullish manner, but it's definitely not dying quickly.
Wise words from Joe Saz, who we always need to break down the crypto charts. For all you folks watching at home at blocktv.com, keep on watching for more cryptocurrency and blockchain related news.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter